Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream. We don't get to do a whole lot of live stuff these days, so this is kind of exciting. And today we are going to be talking to one of our sponsors for the Naturally Healthy Pets International Experience that will be held in Orlando, Florida. October 12th and 13th. We still have a few general admission tickets available. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do so. I would like to introduce Hanna Mandelbaum, who is the co founder of Evermore Pet Food, which is a gently cooked frozen food. This is the dog turkey. And the sourcing is what we want to talk about today for these products because, Hanna, welcome. So,
Hi, Dr. Judy. It's great to be here.
So your company's been around since 2009, which I didn't realize that you had been doing this that long. And you're mostly direct to consumer, available in a few retail stores in select markets. But the big thing about your food is the sourcing. It's also made in a USDA kitchen. The batches are tested for bacteria, nutrient content. And so that's really important that we know that what we're getting is a safe product. But I think that safety starts with the sourcing, because the better the sourcing, then the better the outcome is as far as bacterial load. We know that confinement raised animals have much higher bacteria loads than our free range, humanely raised, all that kind of stuff. So you have started this thing called the Better Chicken Commitment. What is that?
Oh, we actually didn't start it. The Better Chicken Commitment is a set of welfare standards that was developed by 11 animal welfare organizations and international organizations at that. There's a European version as well. And basically, what the Better Commitment is aiming to do is create a very specific set of broiler chicken standards. And I don't see it as the absolute ceiling, but I see it as where all of our chicken should be raised. And over 200 companies have signed up to the BCC. I'm going to call it that from now on. And a lot of them are actually in the pet food space. Now, the compliance deadline is 2026. So a lot of people got to get hustling on it. And a lot
compliance
of
deadline for
all components of the Better Chicken Commitment. So there are 5 components to the commitment. The first one is more room to roam. So there is a stocking density requirement. And for people that don't know, stocking density is basically how many chickens you can stick in one barn. And it's measured by pounds of chicken per square foot. And the standard stocking density in the industry, recommended by the National Chicken Council, is 6.5 pounds of chicken per square foot, and this is at slaughter weight, to 9.5 pounds of chicken per square foot. And these numbers are actually, plenty of companies exceed them. That sounds like a very dense environment, doesn't it?
So basically each chicken, because 6.5 to 9.5 pounds is a chicken. So a chicken has 1 square foot of space.
Yeah, and it's just
like this.
It's very tight. Now, animal welfare organizations, what they've agreed upon, and most better chicken suppliers that are certified humane, Global Animal Partnership certified, actually the number is the maximum is 6 pounds of chicken per square foot. So I think, that's still a lot. I was in our chicken supplier, it's 5.5 pounds of chicken per square foot inside the barn, but they have a ton of outdoor space. And again, they're still, even in high welfare situations, I think people have this idea that they're these like small mom and pop farms that they're getting their chicken from when it's advertised as humane. But if you're in manufacturing and you're getting lots of things like chicken hearts, chicken breasts, these are not small operations. And even what we think of as our supplier, I would say, is medium sized. But so that's stocking density. The second component is environmental enrichments. So chickens, like any other animal, have natural behaviors. And when they're in these barns, a lot of times they don't have any way of expressing these behaviors. And in environmental enrichments, this means things like perch posts and hay bales so they can jump up on things and look around. And a lot of times there'll be eucalyptus branches for them to peck at. So things like that where they can engage with their environment. The third component is a slaughter component. And that is, most chickens, the way that they're slaughtered in the US. And sorry to the audience if you're a little bit sensitive, but process called live shackle slaughter, in which these sort of birds are manhandled and shackled upside down in a conveyor belt into these sort of metal, ankle things. And then they are stunned by being dragged into an electrified bath. And at which point they go further down the conveyor belt, a mechanized blade chops off their heads. Then they get kind of dragged through a boiling pool of water so their feathers are loosened. I mean, that sounds all very horrific. And horrific. Yeah.
Most of us think, okay, grocery store, chicken, it comes that way. No, it started out as a bird running around somewhere. So yeah, it is what it is.
That's absolutely horrible. And the worst part about this process is that there's many places where it can fail. So these trapping birds, the trapped birds will flop around and they can miss that stunning bath. They can even miss the blades if they're moving enough. Mm-hmm. And then that leaves them to get boiled alive. So that's just absolutely horrific. So the next component, so the alternative to that the Better Chicken commitment calls for is something called controlled atmosphere stunning, where they don't even have to be taken out of their crates or handled. They move through a room where some sort of gas, usually a CO2, is slowly pumped into the room. So they fall asleep to an irreversible state of unconsciousness before they go through that process I just described.
Sounds better.
It does sound better. And then the next one is just, I'm going to get to what I believe is the most important one last. The next one is having an auditing body, just making sure everyone's doing what they say that they're doing. And in the more rigorous version of this, there's sort of two versions. That auditing body has to be Global Animal Partnership, which is one of the leading welfare certification agencies. Then the final one, which I think is the absolute most important, and this is where you're going to see a real difference in nutrition, is the breed of the bird. In the US, the broiler chickens that we use are by and large a breed called the Cornish cross. And they've been developed, they've gotten much bigger since the 50s. And they've basically been developed to have the biggest breasts humanly possible. I kind of call them LA chickens. And because of that, they develop all kinds of cardiac issues. Their legs can break under them as they grow. And even when they have access to the outside, they've actually been selectively bred to prefer indoor space. And they're so inactive that they don't even take advantage of the outside environments that they have access to. So that's really, that's even horrible. Somebody from a welfare organization, I think it was the ASPCA, told me their bodies are their prisons, which I think is a really apt way of describing it. So we are so proud to announce that we have pastured birds that are of a higher welfare breed, making us the first company for humans or for pets or for humans. No human manufacturing company has hit this bar yet to meet this standard. And going outside isn't part of that standard, which is why I think that that's a baseline, but I don't think it's enough. So, but we're the first company and we use a higher welfare breed. It's actually 2 higher welfare breeds. And I went to visit recently to see the chickens in their environment, and it was just incredible seeing them run around and out in the fields, pecking at bugs and grubs and
doing what chickens are supposed to do. There we go.
Oh, this is working. Yeah, that's a video. That's me and my partner, Allison, who's actually, we call her our sorceress because she really does the hard work of finding all of our vendors. See, there they are out pecking.
See,
You may
those
notice
are
that
happy
some of them
chickens.
have like patches on their neck where they don't have feathers. Some of these do, some of these don't. And that's actually that particular breed, which is a crossbreed that includes a bird known as the Transylvanian naked neck chicken, which I encourage people to Google them. They're like the weirdest looking birds.
I have a naked neck silky, and we
Oh,
call him emu because he looks like an emu. He's really
yeah.
weird looking. So this is you say that you have gap 4 chicken. So what is the gap again?
Okay, so and you'll see this actually. I think some other pet food companies are going for GAP too. GAP stands for Global Animal Partnership, and actually it was originally developed in tandem for meat standards for Whole Foods like a while ago. I don't remember when. And the interesting thing about GAP is that they have levels of animal welfare standards, starting at kind of just GAP certified. And frankly, I don't think that that's like too much to write home about. And then it goes up in the numbers. And the idea is that manufacturers can go up through the steps. So GAP step 2 is sort of like an enriched indoor environment. And then there's sort of square footage requirements and things about, how much sort of you can do to the animals. Like a lot of times, like birds will be debeaked and that sort of thing isn't allowed. Then GAP step 3 is where you have outdoor access. So the animals have access to the outside, but maybe it's not, this full-time thing or GAP step 4 is pastured, which is what we get. And you will be hard pressed. I can only think of one other manufacturer that uses pastured birds. And GAP step 5 is sort of farm centric, entire life. They're not taken off the farm to be slaughtered. That would be the dream. I wish every manufacturer could work with animals like that. But the reality is there just isn't the supply.
Yeah, for sure. How many chickens are on that farm that you went to?
Oh God. I think that they process like millions a year. They're very transparent about a lot of things, but they won't tell you exactly how many chickens they processed. I think that that's sort of like saying how much money we make, it's a revenue thing. But
Not
I
allowed
can
to
tell
ask that.
Yeah, believe me, I ask so many questions. These are large operations. If you're a pet food making hearts, if you think about it, there's like between 20 and 30 hearts to a pound. And we're a very, very, very small company. And I did the math and we use hundreds of thousands of pounds of hearts a year. So
Wow.
The reality is anyone that's using mostly hearts, but other organ meats too, there's a lot of chickens that need to be involved. So no one's working with tiny companies.
Yeah. I think about just in our warehouse, how many of our treats, the freeze dried treats, how many bags of chicken hearts and turkey hearts that we go through. And then all the foods that I'm feeding my animals have organ meats in them, and I buy packages of chicken hearts to supplement my guys because it's their favorite thing in the entire world. So yeah, it's a lot. The weird thing about chickens is they grow so fast that their lifespan is actually really short from the time they're hatched to the time they're slaughtered, the meat chickens.
The average in the US is 47 days. And part of the reason for that, honestly, is because they are mostly that Cornish crossbreed. And once they get above a certain age and a certain size, they're just gonna start dropping dead too. It's really, the chickens that we're eating are both basically baby animals when we think of it that way. And it's funny because everyone thinks that chicken is problematic for their dog, and we know that's not the case. And sometimes I feel a little silly focusing so much on chickens, but the reality is the animals where the welfare standards are the absolute lowest, and the absolute where animals suffer the most is chickens and pigs in this country.
Well, and poultry is where most of the contamination that is found. It's usually a turkey, a duck, or a chicken product. And I feel like if we've got these chickens that are out on pasture, they're humanely raised, the bacterial load is going to be so much lower on these birds. So you're starting with a cleaner product, and then you're processing a clean product, and you just get a much better outcome. So the other thing we wanted to talk about today is cat food.
I'm so excited about that. We've been working on cat food since 2019. If we'd been working on it straight, obviously we should have had it out by now, but we did have this thing called the pandemic. And we really shifted our energy to focusing on making sure our supply chain was good. And, the dogs that were relying on our food could continue to get it. So after, I think, 8 different iterations, we finally come up with something we think is good. I remember we sent you a bunch, right, to Dr. Judy Morgan headquarters. I know Gwen.
Oh, the cat food. Yeah, my daughter stole it all. My cats did not get to try it.
Yeah. She told us that our food was the only fresh food she's gotten her cat to eat. So.
Well, Edward is probably the pickiest cat in the world. He's never been fed kibble, so that's not the issue. But there are very few foods. He kind of likes freeze dried better. Very few fresh frozen, like gently cooked or raw, will he touch. So she had gotten some and she tried it and he ate it. So then she stole it all and mine never got to try it.
Okay. Well, okay. That's a mixed blessing right there. So
hey, as long as the grand cat is happy, it's all good.
Yeah, that's the important thing. So we decided to start with an all life stages food because with cats, once they're on the kibbles, you have a really hard time switching them back. So our primary goal was to capture them while they're young, and that's really important. But our other goal was to make it as palatable as humanly possible, because getting cats on fresh food can be a challenge. There's lots of other amazing things about our formula, minimal supplementation. We have that same sourcing. So it's an amazingly beautiful formula. I'm so excited about it. And we have some really special ingredients that are for that palatability. And I want to share some of them.
And when do we think this is going to be available?
So we actually we're just cooking the first batch now. And this has really been a long time in the making, and pending all the lab testing and stuff, we obviously want everything to look the way it should. We're hoping to have it shipping in a month. So
awesome.
Yeah. Definitely before coming down to Orlando, I wanted to be ready.
Yay. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. It's always fun when you have, new things to be excited about. But we appreciate you being a sponsor for the international experience. We look forward to getting everybody together in Orlando. And anyone who knows me knows that I love rotation of foods for our animals, so for dogs and cats. So if you haven't tried Evermore, it is a gently cooked, you may want to consider trying it in your rotation and just see what your animals think, especially if you have an Edward who hates everything. You could try. My cats are not. This is why Gwen does the taste test. My cats are not near as picky. My cats are pigs.
Yeah, I've got 2 orange boys, and we have to lock them out at meal times. They will steal the food right off our plates. So.
Exactly. So, well, thank you very much, Hanna. We appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate you being a sponsor. We look forward to seeing everyone in person. And can Evermore be bought in stores or only online? They are in some small markets. She said they have some in New York, California, Florida, Chicago. So you could check with your local independent retailer and see if they have it, if they know any. Do you have a store locator on your website?
Yeah, there is a store locator on our website, and we are always happy to work with independent retailers. We ship directly to the retailer, so we'll send it to anyone as long as they reach out to us and as long as they don't sell animals. That's kind of don't sell cats and dogs,
Oh yeah, no. We try to avoid that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on your GAP 4, and looks like the chicken farm was fun. Mine were very happy when they could go outside. Now they have an outdoor run, but it's closed in due to our fox issues. So not as much fun for them. They don't get to run through the tall grass in the fields, and I wish they could. So somebody says, will Evermore be available in Canada?
Oh, we hope one day. My business, we can't ship to Canada, so we'll probably have to do through distributor. My business partners actually was born in Canada, so we definitely would love to get it up there.
It's really tricky to go from one country to another, especially with food. It's I think it's I mean, we have problems just shipping anything to Canada. It's
Yeah,
it's
me.
been it's been awful. So yeah. I wish I knew the good Canadian companies. I really don't. And pet food is regulated very differently there, as in not really. which which could be good if you're a
Mixed
manufacturer.
blessing.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
mixed blessing.
So, all right, Hanna, thank you very much for your time today, and we will see you in just about 2.5 months.
Oh, wow, that's coming up.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Judy.